Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of CTLN Opinion Plus, where we have conversations about issues and concerns of the Latino community. Today, we are joined by Commissioner Angel Quiros of the Department of Correction. Thank you for joining us, Commissioner Quiros. How
Thank you
are
for having me. Good morning.
you?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
How are you doing today?
Doing great. Yourself?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. So I just want to, for our audience, give a quick snippet of who you are. And you started your position in a very rough year, but you were selected because of your unmatched experience and being in the department for 3 decades. You started as a correctional officer and eventually move up the ranks, becoming the commissioner of the Department of Corrections. Not only that, but you are the state's first Latino commissioner. You have been part of the department during different eras, and this is probably the toughest time because of the pandemic and a large movement for Equity. I want to start this interview by asking you, how has the pandemic affected the work that you do and the services offered in facilities? Example, healthcare services, hygiene visitors, etc. How is that going for you?
Well, thank you. Thank you. You're right. I started as a correction officer back in 1989, and I've been in the department for 32 years and moved up the ranks within the custody, given the opportunity January of 2020 to become the commissioner of Department of Correction. And you're right. I came in one of the toughest pandemic that any Department of Correction across the United States was not ready and never experienced something like we did. How the pandemic affected us very early on in March 2020. Little was known about COVID-19, and there was just so much unknown. But let me start by thanking my staff that came into work day in, day out, every shift on the weekdays, on the weekend, not knowing what this pandemic was bringing, not knowing the side effects, and not having the opportunity also to telework. As you know, the Department of Corrections hazardous duty, so these individuals have a hazardous duty pension. They're expected to come to work regardless of the situation. So I'm very thankful for them during the pandemic. So the pandemic at the beginning completely shut us down. I mean, shut down every agency in the United States, the Department of Correction. There was so much unknown. My main focus was stop the spread, protect the staff, protect the individuals that were under my custody from the illness. All the programs in the facilities were shut down. We were just allowing only essential staff members to come into the facility. So all the volunteers that were coming into the facility to provide service for us, which was needed with the programming, that had to stop because I had to protect them too and protect. We had to stop social visits from happening. That's very hard. If you heard me before as a commissioner, to me, that family reunification is important, and to stop that, it was a very difficult decision, but it was a decision that I had to make, and it was a great decision to make to protect the community. But it gave us opportunities, social visits. Our IT department, immediately under my direction, put together a platform for social visits, virtual social visits on team that was free of charge to the family members, free of charge to the individuals under my custody. Now you could have visits from Puerto Rico, family member in Puerto Rico, across the United States in their living room. If they were having transportation issue, now with the social visits so that was a big hit for our population. And my intention is to keep the team's visit, but not to replace the social visit. To me, that is very key, to keep that social visit and that contact with the family members face to face. We had to adjust day to day, hour to hour with the CDC guidelines, DPH guidelines, whatever changes they were making, safely implemented in our facilities. And from March 2020 to present, I've had over 1,900 of my staff members been affected by the COVID-19, and over 5,000 individuals that are under my custody been affected with COVID-19. But I would tell you that, and I would end with this on that question, that our health service unit,
Yeah.
if you know the history of the Connecticut Department of Correction, 3 years ago, we took over the supervision of the health service unit from UConn. So we've been together now for 3 years. If it wasn't for the hard work of our health service
Mm.
unit during the first pandemic, first wave, the second wave, and now the third wave of the Delta variant,
Yeah.
I mean, keep people to stop the spread, to treat the offenders the same way that they were being
Right.
treated out in the community. And our positivity rate overall in the last 24 weeks has been way under the positivity rate that you see out in the community. So I'm very proud of my staff and the health service unit.
Right.
The way,
Not only that, it's for mental health of the prisoners, they need that interaction, talking about family visits and social visits. So I'm happy to hear that's been reestablished some way. Let's move to our second question. Members of the Black and Latino communities often find themselves involved in some aspect of the criminal justice system. They make up a combined 71% of the state's incarcerated population. Can you describe any actions that the state of Connecticut has taken to involve itself with criminal justice reform?
well, let me start from the top. As a commissioner,
Sure.
I'm for criminal justice reform. Um, I attend many conferences. Matter of fact, I was just last week in Niagara Falls, where all the commissioners around the Northeast region, from New York, Philadelphia, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and gives me an opportunity to speak to these other commissioners on progressive movement and criminal justice changes that are happening at other jurisdictions in other states. So this is nothing new to Connecticut. We've been doing criminal justice reform since 2011, when we
Okay.
reviewed our process of our administrative segregation unit at Northern, and changed the format and the process of how we identify the individuals for that program. But criminal justice reform has picked up momentum. I mean, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Things that we have embraced. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our true unit up at Cheshire for the age of 18 to 24, and it's really focused on the brain development of each individual. That during that age time, their brains are not fully developed. So
Yeah.
we've invested in our staffs and in the training, invested in the offender population to help them better understand the consequences to their action, to prepare them for the reentry back into the community, and then
Right.
to mentor them, give them mentors that are outside in the community, so it can be a better transition. We maximize the governor's executive order of the end solitary confinement. That was an order that I was for. That I do want to continue to increase the out of cell time for the individuals. I do want to continue to review the programs that we're having and the length of the program to see if it's working, if it's not working. The other thing too, in the budget, there was a certain amount of money that was allocated to the Department of Correction to do a vocational village. This is huge. This is important for the Department of Corrections. Michigan Department of Correction has vocational village, and basically what you do, you bring the classroom, the hands-on with the machines. You bring it inside a correctional facility so that
What
you can certify these individuals and prepare them for meaningful work.
Right, which that's really important, and that's great to hear. But that kind of leads to my next question. Gang violence seems to be significant in the tri-state area. Do you have any programs in place to prevent vulnerable youth from getting involved in gangs? What type of programs do you have in place now that it's helping the youth to, so they want to end up in the prisons?
So let me answer that question with my upbringing. I grew up in Hartford on Park Street. Growing up, that being around gang members and was not something that was uncommon for me. I've had family members in my own family that have turned to gangs. So this is a problem that starts in the community. That when they end up in the Department of Corrections, we do have a program. But let me talk about what's needed out in the community. These individuals need resources
Right.
out in the community. These individuals need mentors to guide them while they're
Absolutely.
out in the community. And we need structured programs. We need structured programs, after school programs, or even before, so that these individuals are kept busy and occupied with meaningful time. By the time they get to me, and and we didn't know during the intake if they have some activities with gangs out in the community. We monitor them. If they continue to be involved with the gangs and continue with the criminal activities behind the wall, we do have a gang program that gives them the opportunity to to take a time out, to teach them about their actions, to teach them about other mechanism to deal with anger management. And it's like a 5 phase program. The first
Mm,
phase, is you keep them by themselves, you keep them grouped by the gangs, and you monitor. The purpose of that 5 phases, by the time we get to phase 5,
mm,
they're working together. They're doing programming together. They're doing child hall together. They're living in a cell with an opposite gang member, and just getting them ready to come back into general population, so that they know
mhm,
they have to be able to coexist and not resort to violence. Sometimes many times it's successful, but there's
mhm.
other times that based on the age, that it can be a challenge within inside correctional
Yeah,
facilities.
yeah, that's it's tough. It's a tough area, but I'm happy to hear you guys have some programs in place to help that particular group and actually show them, the consequences and show them like what's the correct way to move forward. So in New York City, Rikers Island is facing challenges with maintaining the staffing of correctional officers. Have you seen similar challenges surfing in Connecticut or any other challenges that you want to share?
So the answer is yes and no. And I'll
Okay.
explain. Allow me to explain. I think that every commissioner across the United States are dealing with a shortage when it comes to staffing, not just correctional officers, but also in the health service unit.
Yeah.
And I say no because right now we are equipped at 81%. So meaning that 81% of my positions for correctional officers are occupied, they're full by a body. But what I've seen is, based on the pandemic has taken a toll on our
Yeah.
staff.
I think
When it comes to mental health, when it comes to medical issues within the family because of COVID. So what I have seen an increase of use time when it comes to accrue time, when it
mhm,
comes to sick time, when it comes to staff members being on workers' comp, when it comes to staff members being out on military leave. So it has resulted at times, shift by shift or on the weekend, that I have had to place facilities on total lockdown because I did not have enough staff to
mm,
man the entire. However, on August 13th, an
mhm,
academy class of 95 correctional officers started. On October 8th, last Friday, another 50 started. Correctional Officer started the academy. And on
mm,
October 22nd, I got about 100 correctional officers will start the academy. So by the end of the year, I got an additional 245 correctional officers that are
wow.
starting, that will be certified and ready to take post. So that's why I say that we don't have the similar problems that Rikers is having,
Right.
because we have, believe it or not, we have probably close to 2,000 applicants that are in the
Wow.
process to become correctional officers. So
That's positive. You need those bodies. So I think that's all the time we have. I mean, we can continue talking about this topic maybe for much longer. That's all the time
sure.
we have today, Commissioner Quiros. And thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you and have a great day. Thank you for the
You too.
opportunity.
Thank you. Join us for another episode in 2 weeks. For more information about our discussion today, check out our web story on ctlatinanews.com. Follow us on Twitter at CT Latina News and Instagram at CT_Latina News. I'm Marcela Baez with CTLN Opinion Plus. See you next time.